Hey guys, welcome to my October and Victober TBR slash pile of possibilities. As always, Tolkien wants to come say hello or just eat me. I'm not sure. Maybe he just wants to knock down the tripod. Can you move? Okay, so for the last few months I've been doing the whole pile of possibilities thing. Why does he always want to scratch his chin on here? So I have a couple books that are priority books that I probably most definitely will get to, and then a few books that are just possibilities, things I'm in the mood for, things I want to read. I'm not going to push myself to read them if I don't have time or I decide I don't actually want to read them in the moment. But let's start with the ones that I'm going to be reading, and then we'll get into my possibilities. So I'm trying to keep things really casual for October. I'll talk about it more in my September wrap-up, but I haven't been reading much lately, which when you have a channel that says Chantel reads all day, I feel like a bit of a imposter here. But it's been a crazy month. So I'm going to keep my actual books that I'm going to be reading for sure small, and then my possibility pile will probably be huge. So the first book that I know I'm going to be reading, because every month over on Patreon I pick a patron of the month, and so October's patron has decided that we are going to read together, buddy read Babel. Every month my patron of the month gets to pick a book for me to read and have the choice to buddy read it if they want. So I'm very excited about this. I'm gonna let Tolkien out and then I'll tell you about it. It's like he wants to hang out in my office until I start filming, and then he wants to be out the door. Okay, so all I know is that this is historical fantasy and has something to do with languages. It's set in Oxford in 1828. And honestly, that's all I want to know going in. I'm in the mood this month for fantasy and classics. So you'll notice that I will probably be gravitating towards those kinds of books. And this is, I don't know, just exactly what I'm feeling in the mood for. It feels very dark academia. From a few people I've heard they think I'm not going to like this book. I'm not sure, we'll see. But this is definitely what I'm in the mood for. I hope to read it at the beginning of the month. And I need to slow down my life so I have time to read, because I want to just get immersed in this so bad. So there's that book, and then my other thing that I'm doing is the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. So I create this challenge every year with some prompts. This year every prompt is playing off of the book that we read last month. So I'm going to double check what the prompt says. I pulled it up. Right, okay, so our book for October is going to, the title for October's book is going to start with the first letter of the author's last name from our September book. That sounds way more complicated than it really is. So in September I read Yours is the Night by Amanda Dykes. Her last name starts with D. So now my book for October has to start with D. And you can ignore those kinds of things. I didn't pre-pick this. So I'm just gonna quickly look on my shelf there and over there and see if there's something that starts with D that I'm in the mood for. Well, I said I was in the mood for classics. I could do Don Quixote, but that's a little big, I think. Okay, I went through, I found a few different options. First one I picked up was David Copperfield, and then I remembered, like, I need to actually finish this book, you know, for the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. I want to read this book at some point, but do I want to commit to reading this in 1 month? I don't think so. Not that you have to read the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge books in 1 month, but I'm trying to, and yeah, I don't think that's gonna be it. And then I was wondering about an Agatha Christie, Death Comes as the End. I could do this one. But then I also saw that The Devil in the White City is on my autumn TBR list, and I kind of want to do this one. But I'm kind of torn between the two. So maybe we'll do a random number generator. Let's just do this. So Devil in the White City will be number 1 because it's on top right now. Death Comes as the End will be number 2. Hey Google, pick a random number between 1 and 2. I thought she was going to vocalize it, but there's a tiny little 1 over there. So that means I will be reading The Devil in the White City. So far we're going for a color theme for the books. That's actually kind of funny. It'd be kind of interesting to keep going with this, but that's not going to happen because I'm going to be trying to join in for Victober, and I already have a book that I really, really, really want to read for this. Also why I didn't want to pick David Copperfield, because the one I want is really big. It does not follow my theme of black and like gold. Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. This one was sent to me by Amy, and oh, wait a minute. Is there like multiple? Wait, this book is not. I'm so confused. It looks huge. It's only 672 pages. Is this just like the thickest paper known to man? How many pages is Babel? This looks significantly thicker. And this one is, this one's like just over 500 pages. Huh. Anyway, I want to read Wives and Daughters. I don't know anything about it. I talked about it in my Classic Literature for Beginners video that I really loved North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I've been wanting to read more. And I've heard that people like this one the best, and so I'm curious. So I'm not forcing myself to finish this in October, but if it's anything like North and South, like I was really enjoying that book and constantly picking it up, so I might, but I just wanted to, oh, this is interesting, the end papers. It's just a bunch of like classic authors' names and titles of books, I think. Yeah, I just want to start this, see how far I get, no pressure, but this is my Victober pick. So that's 3 books. Then it's been a while since I did a solving of an Agatha Christie book, and I think I have solved or already read all of her obvious whodunit books. Like you can actually figure out who did the mystery, did the killing generally. But I was looking up lists of other books that are popular whodunit books. I've read a ton of those as well, but I found one that I have not read, and it is written by an author that I just read a short story by. So I think I'm gonna read the guest list by Lucy Foley. I read one of her short stories in the Agatha Christie, I think I read it at the end of August, Agatha Christie's 12 New Mysteries, Marple, 12 New Mysteries, where a bunch of authors tried to write short stories based on Miss Marple, and hers was one of the best. Hers was 1 out of 2 that I gave 5 stars. So I'm curious about this. Apparently this book has water damage. Somebody was reading it in the bathtub. Yeah, so I'm gonna attempt that. We'll see if it ends up being a video. If you guys want to join me with reading it, you can. Yeah, I think this one's kind of, it's an exclusive wedding on a remote Irish island. The bride, the plus one, the best man, the wedding planner, the bridesmaid, all have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. So this sounds a lot like Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, and I'm very excited because that is a book I read years and years ago, and I wish I would have done it as a video because it was, I didn't solve it for sure. I would like to reread it, but I think this will give me those vibes. I'm hoping so. So this kind of follows some of my coloring here. So those are the books that I'm definitely going to get to, the books I want to get to, and then we're going to pick a few more because I couldn't have a TBR that was only 4 books long. That would be ridiculous. So I'm just going to peruse my shelf a bit, pick out a few that are interesting to me. Well, I said I was in a fantasy and classics mood. I really only have 1 fantasy on the list, 1 classic on the list. I don't know where this falls. This is like historical fiction, like a thriller maybe. So I definitely need another classic at least, and at least another fantasy. So that's what I'm gonna look for. Okay, so I picked up 3 more, 1 classic, 1 fantasy, 1, I think, thriller. Let's do the thriller first. I shared this in a vlog a little while ago. Lay Your Body Down. This one was recommended because, oh, what did she say in her email? I think it was Sherry that emailed me, I'm pretty sure. And she said it wasn't cultish exactly, but it was like legalistic something or other. It says a young woman returns to her rural Minnesota hometown where a radical evangelical pastor has poisoned everyone's minds and may be covering up a murder. So that sounds interesting. Technically this is already due back to the library, but I have a month until it's overdue, or like I have to pay for it. So if I can get to this ASAP, that would be the best. I'm very curious, and it's been a long time since I've read any thrillers, and now I'm like putting 2 on this list. But they generally read fast, and I feel like I've read hardly anything this month, and so I could really go for some like nice, fast, immersive books. So there's that one. And then for my classic, I decided to do Emily Climbs. You guys, I need to get to this. I am going to put this upstairs after this video, and I'm not going to remove it from that spot until I'm finished reading it. It's going to haunt me until I finish it. I read book 1 years and years ago and want to finish this series by Ellen Montgomery. So in this one, Emily is 13. I don't know how much she ages from each book. It says 13-year-old Emily Starr was born with the desire to write. As an orphan living on New Moon Farm, she was able to face the lonely times more easily because of her writing. But now her tyrannical Aunt Elizabeth won't let her go to high school in nearby Shrewsbury unless she stops her foolish scribblings. Not one word of fiction, Aunt Elizabeth decrees, until she graduates. Oh, interesting. So, need to continue this. And then the fantasy I picked up. I shared this one in my most recent vlog in a library haul, A Forgery of Roses, and I didn't know why I had requested it, and then Charlene, one of my subscribers, commented and said she recommended it. She described it as like gothic fantasy, which sounds perfect because I love the gothic genre and I'm in the mood for fantasy, so I'm curious. Plus it's super short for fantasy. It's like 350 pages. I know nothing about it. It says, Myra Whitlock has a gift, one many would kill for. She's an artist whose portraits alter people's real-life bodies, a talent she must hide from those who would kidnap, blackmail, and worse in order to control it. Guarding that secret is the only way to keep her younger sister safe for now that their parents are gone. Oh, that sounds really interesting. So I'm assuming this is YA just based on the length, and if it is, then they generally read faster too. So there's that. Part of me definitely wants to just add this Agatha Christie in here as well, but because I'm in the mood for fantasy, I don't know if I want to add more like mystery to like my thriller stack that I already have. So I'm going to keep it like this. And then that means this is my TBR / pile of possibilities for the month. This one I'm definitely going to read. This one I want to make a good dent in. This is my Read Your Bookshelf Challenge book, so I should probably finish that. And then we'll see where I get with the other ones. Let me know if you are excited for me to read any of these in particular, if you think there's something I'm really gonna like here, and what you plan on reading in October, if you're participating in Victober, and let's just talk all the bookish things in the comments. Thanks for being here, guys.